All right, everyone, good morning. Another victory for Celtic. The league may be won, but the good performances are continuing. We're going to talk about that today. I'm Hamish, by the way. Scott's with me. Again, Scott, you appear to be virtually the only contributor we have on the channel at the moment, but you're doing well, so it's great to have you on. And I quite enjoyed that game.
Yeah, 106 points and 106 goals and 20 points clear as we see at the moment. There's a lot to like about that performance today, that's for sure.
Yeah. Right, let's just kick off with the lineup then, because I think a few things we'd heard during the week and after the derby last week were kind of hinting at seeing a good few changes, and I put my team out during the week and I think I had like Yang was in it and maybe had a wee youngster in here or there. I think I'd changed the midfield a bit. But for the players that we had available, it was pretty full strength for the match. Now, I think we're going to see some changes for Pittodrie in midweek, and we can discuss that a little bit at the end. But I was a wee bit surprised that the manager went so strong. But I think the team have really got the cup final in their sights, and it's all about getting some momentum.
Yeah, I think Brendan mentioned he just want to get minutes in the legs, make sure that the guys are fit and firing in the build-up to that cup final. So it's one game at a time, but they're already looking 2 weeks ahead. So, so Ralston starting, Trusty coming in down back for his first run for a while. So you thought maybe Hibs could sort of test that out early, but the rest of the team writes itself. And I guess that's probably what he's looking at for the final in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just thought it was a really controlled performance, a really good performance. I really enjoyed watching the match. I wasn't totally sure what I was expecting going into the game. I think if you'd have said to me, "Are you sure Celtic are going to win this match?" going into the match, I'd probably said no, just because we'd won the league and we all know the form Hibs have been in recently. Well, to be honest, longer than recently. It's a good few months now that they've been winning the majority of games and certainly not losing many. And I just felt with us already as champions, we've tended to see over the years when Celtic become champions, you get a bit of a drop-off in the performance levels, which is pretty natural. And I thought Hibs would come and really cause us problems. I thought it'd be quite a high-scoring game and maybe finish a draw, something like that, just with all those factors I've said. I think what we got in the game was a very different match. I thought it was about as one-sided a match as you're ever going to see. I know Hibs get their goal, but other than that, did they really create much in the game? Not really. A few corners maybe started the second half, but it was like total dominance for me. And I thought the level of of performance from the team was excellent. It didn't feel like a team that had won the league a couple of weeks ago, and it didn't feel like a match with very little riding on it for the team. It really feels like this team mean business, even at this point of the season.
Yeah, I think they want to set a marker. I think there's so much competition for spots. Everyone wants to be part of these next couple of games. So we'd had, after 15 minutes, 6 shots on goal and 6 shots total, 3 on goal in that first 15 minutes. So we're all over them. I think the possession rate was up around 85% or something. So we never let them get comfortable. And we were testing them, even if they weren't like the really sharp chances we'd hope. I think Ida had a couple. There are a couple offside. They didn't really test out is it Smith in goal there. So, but we worked our way into it, and we were being dangerous as we did it, which was really pleasing to see, because I think we've started our matches of late a little bit slow, and we've allowed teams to come to us, and then we wear that and go on from there. But this was really good, straight off the front foot from the go.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great start to the game. The passing was quick. I thought the midfield was strong. And, we're getting into a lot of good areas. Hibs were playing with a pretty high line, and we were able to exploit that a few times, but just not quite get the final pass or the final shot. Ida had a couple of chances early on. I think he kind of has 2 1-on-1s, and one is on his left foot, and he didn't ever really look like scoring. Then there was another one he sent through, and he tries to side foot it into the corner, and it's quite tame. So you're thinking at that stage, Ida doesn't look particularly confident in front of goal. But once again, I know I'm skipping forward a little bit. Once again, he pops up with a goal, so you can't really argue with his goal return. When he starts games, he tends to score in them. And yeah, I mean his finish was great, but yeah, the first goal as well is just a couple of minutes before that, and obviously Hibs take the lead prior to that. So, what are you thinking when Martin Boyle strokes that in for Hibs?
Bastard. No, but that's Martin Boyle. He's a poacher, right? So, he's prone to scoring. I think he's scored a few goals like that where we haven't dealt with a cross properly. It came through. It went unchallenged. There's a block in there. Trusty doesn't deal with it because he hasn't really got much hope. It's a reflex action. Then Boyle just pops it in. And it's like, oh, it's going to be one of those games where we just dominate everything and they're just going to have their one chance and they're going to take it. So, I mean, hats off to them. But I think our response to that was first class too, because it was a minor setback and we responded accordingly after that.
Yeah, I mean, I was almost kind of smiling watching the game because we've been so dominant, as I say, in the first half an hour. I know Boyle had another chance where Schmeichel, who was back in goal, makes a great save. I think he was offside anyway, but we'd been like so dominant. There was a stat flashed up at one point that Hibs had like 15% possession, and I think that was about 20 minutes into the game. And, we'd been controlling the game. Okay, nothing absolutely major opportunities missed, but we were creating a few chances, moving the ball about well. They were chasing basically the whole game. And then suddenly they're 1-0 up. And as you say, you're just wondering at that stage if it's going to be one of those games. I think it's a credit to the team, though, that in a game that, as I say, didn't have the league riding on it, that even when we went behind, we were just pretty calm and we worked our way back into it. And we get a couple of goals right before half-time. And again, I think they're both balls clipped in behind. I think one is Ralston, one is Kuhn, in terms of clipping it in behind. Kuhn scores the first one, Ida scores the second one, and suddenly we flipped that from being 1-0 going into the break to 2-1 up.
Yeah, they were really nice goals, and they all start from our defence. And I hope we get a little bit of time and speaking out on the attacking side of our defence today, because Liam Scales starts both those movements from defence. He gets a little bit lucky with the second one where Boyle slips over, but he doesn't go to ground there either. He's not looking to go to ground. He's just trying to take his space away a bit and get him on a tighter angle. But he gets that ball, and the first pass is to Hatate, and everything was positive going forward. Angled balls, long balls, and then they find that chance. So I think it was Ralston with the Kuhn goal where Ida almost gets a block on, and it allows Kuhn to just take it past the keeper and in for that first goal. I thought both those movements that led to those goals were superb, and they both started by a guy who cops his fair whack, but I think he needs a bit of credit there because he was really cool today. You could maybe be a little critical that he loses track of Boyle, perhaps, if that's his job in defence leading into that first goal. But he was solid in defence and he got our attack going today. And yeah, like I said, he starts the movement that leads to both those goals.
And it just looks so simple, though, when you see those two goals, and they're pretty similar in that they're just balls clipped over. And it makes you wonder why teams like Hibs play with a high line against us, because the amount of chances we had. I mean, I'm not complaining about that personally, because if teams want to come and play high lines, I think we'd all much rather see Celtic play against teams kind of coming out a bit more rather than just the usual 10 men parked inside their own 18-yard box. But at times it really does look so easy. And as I say, Hibs got away with a number early on in the game. Just off the top of my head, there's those two Ida chances. There's also, I think there's two where Maida runs through and tries to square it to Ida, and the pass is just a little bit too strong. I think there were two of them in the first half. They could easily have been goals. We obviously get our two. There was a few other chances as well, and that's what I want to see Celtic doing. I mean, that pacey running in behind is just so... I guess in one aspect, you do wonder why Hibs are playing a high line, but also it must be really difficult to defend against, because you get guys like Hatate, who I thought was sensational today. Arnie Engels, Callum McGregor, fullbacks, just clipping balls in behind and players running onto them.
Yeah, I think it's today's a game where it's really hard to be critical of anyone, and Hatate deserved man of the match, I think, because he was so clinical with his passing today, and he was also doing the work off the ball too. If he wasn't winning a ball back, he was taking an option away. And yeah, that I don't know, that five, I think they play five at the back, right? Like, they got to have another option when they play Celtic, because we're just chopping them up through the middle and then getting it wide, getting it in. It even allowed us the option to be a little bit more direct to the top of the box as well today with some of the passing. So that's something for them to worry about. But it was beautiful to watch. Like, this is, I don't know, maybe it's because the sun's out and everyone's feeling happy. Like, the football just flowed today all day. There wasn't too many shenanigans which slowed up the game or anything like that. So it was just a nice free-flowing...
Kuhn and the Hibs player in the second half, that was a weird moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a much ado about nothing, wasn't it? But I did write out of that, it must be good being Callum McGregor, because honestly, what can anyone ever say to him? I love when he gets in there, like, there's a bit of a ruckus, and he'll point at them. You'd love to know what he's saying to them. And he'll tell the referee what to do, but then he'll tell the player what to do. Like, it'd be so good, because, like, what do you come back with? Look at my medals, look at the scoreboard. Like, what do? You got nothing to say to Callum McGregor.
Yeah. And he's always involved in these things as well, McGregor. And people talk about, my guess, as I guess, being a little bit quieter in comparison to someone like Scott Brown, who's the obvious comparison to make. But he really has grown into that captaincy role, in terms of he's always in the referee's ear. He's always kind of helping out teammates if anything like that happens with Kuhn. I think, was it Iredale, I think, the Hibs player? It was just a bit of a strange moment, that. But, good to see McGregor involved. But yeah, I take your point. Other than that, I just thought it was quite an enjoyable game to watch. I don't know, maybe at times you'd be hoping for a little bit more from Hibs. I didn't think they were particularly great, but obviously, that's more speaking maybe as a neutral. As a Celtic fan, really enjoyed the stuff we watched. I thought the midfield was excellent. As we say, Rio Hatate. I do think we need to spend a little bit of time on Hatate, because people are very quick to criticise him. And at times this season he has been pretty inconsistent. He's had some complete shocking games. I do think over the past probably 5 or 6 weeks now, along with Dyson Maeda, I think Rio Hatate's probably been our best player. I mean, I think at Ibrox last week he was really good, and I probably kind of overlooked that a little bit. But I think he was possibly our best player at Ibrox last week. I think, the cup semi against St Johnstone, he was excellent. The Kilmarnock game, he scored 2 goals, I think, that day, and was really good. And an obvious man of the match from yesterday's game for me. The quick passing he does. And I think people are maybe resigned to losing Hatate in the summer. And I think generally the feeling probably was like, okay, he's been a good player for us. It might be his time to move on and we can hopefully replace him. It's not going to be easy, though. Like, Hatate does a lot of things, and the thing he does that I think nobody else really has in the midfield, maybe other than Callum McGregor, is this ability to move the ball quickly, like one-touch passing. Engels doesn't really do it. Bernardo doesn't really do it. And Hatate, like the wee passes round the corner that sometimes don't come off, and it can be really frustrating. But when they do come off in a day like today, and he's finding those, little passes into the forward or little passes over the top. Yeah, I just think we need to be careful what we wish for a little bit, because you're going to miss a player like Rio Hatate if he does move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was his effort right at the death last week that gives us a chance to snatch that game at Ibrox too. Like, there's not many players that can be finessed around and then come up with an effort like that to create an opportunity. So, I expect people will be circling. I don't think the fact he's still got 3 years on his contract is something that'll be an obstacle to teams. I think particularly with if it's a German team or Udinese, as is being rumoured, like, that's free-flowing football. They're going to really like what he brings to the table. So, Not to get too far ahead, we enjoy him while we have him. But yeah, he's played 54 games this year, either as a starter or coming off the bench. That's more than anyone else. So he's probably entitled to have a few games where he's not quite on it. But yeah, the last month or so, he's been probably in the best three week in, week out, I think. And yeah, he's been excellent.
Yeah, and he's been playing like the majority of matches as well, which has been a big change. Remember, like under Ange, he would come off after an hour of every game, really, and he's pretty much playing the entirety of matches now. So yeah, he's playing really well, and he's going to be a key player for us in the closing weeks of the season. He got his goal as well. Should probably touch on that. Really good finish as well.
It's a nice, hard, flat shot. Beautiful shot. I seen that in State League 4 with my local team a couple of weeks ago, except it wasn't for them. No, that was a beauty and well earned too. And the build up to that goal was different to the other two, which had started our defence. This started up forward. And there's a really good effort from Eder, I think, where he takes it looks like Smith's going to launch it down the main stand wing, but he takes an angle there which forces Smith to kick it where he did, which leads to the turnover, which, a bit of passing around before it lands to Hatate and he gets the goal. So it was a really good team goal and a really great finish from Hatate, which is, reward for effort for him as well. He can't be setting them up all the time, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I loved it. It was one of those, the minute he took the shot, you knew it was finding that bottom corner. Yeah, I mean, from that point, pretty straightforward, wasn't it? It was the game. I guess the game petered out a little bit, as has been the case with, I think, virtually every home game this season. I'm sure that the stat earlier that I heard, I think that was our 18th home game, and we've had 16 wins, a draw, and a loss in the league. And like the majority of those wins, I think, have been by at least 2 goals. It's been an unbelievable season at home at Celtic Park. And I always think it's so important. We talk about season tickets, and I guess they've been spoken about a fair bit recently with the prices going up and certain things not being added. I do think it's really important that you entertain the home fans at Celtic Park. And I don't think there's any doubt that the majority of games have been really entertaining at home. The quality of football, the amount of goals we've scored, which I think we're on the verge of a record of home goals in the league. That I think goes back to like the Martin O'Neill days. I think we're maybe a goal away from that with one game to go at home. So I think it's been a great season, and it was just another game like that. We had young Sean McCardle on for his debut, which I'll be honest is a name I'd never heard before. Just a wee bit of information on him. He signed his professional contract in 2023, which was round about the time he broke into the B team. He was a 16-year-old at that stage. I think made his debut in a UEFA Youth League match against Lazio. Wasn't even born when Kasper Schmeichel was playing for Falkirk in Scottish football, or when Shunsuke Nakamura scored that famous free kick winner against Manchester United. He wasn't even a person at that stage, Scott, which these are going to get more and more ridiculous as time goes on. But yeah, he's young, and Brendan Rodgers says he's got decent legs, he's got a nice football brain, left-sided, he's got culture when he plays. So good to see these guys getting an opportunity. Johnny Kenny as well came on.
Yeah, I think this is something I called for a little while ago, and probably every other Celtic fan too has got to get these young academy guys a taste at some point. He was named on the bench last week, obviously doesn't get a run. But I hope Brendan does this for the rest of the season too. If there's a young fella in the B team, stick him on the bench, get him used to what a Celtic match day is. It'll be a great experience to take him up to Aberdeen. We know there's going to be changes in that fixture. So take him up there, get him used to it. We see, it's a bit different, but Sinisalo, he stood up last week in a cauldron. Like, these kids have got to get used to that because they're playing in front of their parents and their dog, So get them used to these big crowds. It'll be volatile at Aberdeen. Hopefully there's an opportunity you can chuck him in, because I think that's what will keep these boys wanting to stay at Celtic. And then we have, of course, the benefits of having academy players in the squad. for European football and all that sort of stuff as well. So good luck to him. I hope we see more of him.
Yeah. Yeah, fair chance we see him in midweek, maybe off the bench again. Okay, a wee bit more chat to come. Just first of all, this video has been created in affiliation with NordVPN. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. If you don't know, it secures your connection, protecting your personal information and online activity, especially on public Wi-Fi. A VPN can also make your phone or laptop appear like it's in another country, making it great for accessing content while traveling and feeling like you're at home even when you're away from home. So if you're going on holiday anytime soon and want to be able to keep up to date with your normal streaming options, get involved with NordVPN. As a Celtic AM viewer or listener, you can get up to 74% off NordVPN's 2-year plans, plus an extra 3 months thrown in as well. There's no risk either with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is nordvpn.com/CelticAM, and the link is also in the description. Scott, Kasper Schmeichel back, and other than looking a wee bit rusty in the first few minutes when he passed that out of play, made a really good save from Martin Boyle, as we say, probably offside, but he didn't know that. And not much else to do apart from that, but lovely to see him back.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not an easy injury to not just come back from, but have confidence that it'll hold up when you're called upon. And he was called upon early, which is probably a good thing. And if anyone was to ever look like Peter Schmeichel, that was it. And it's Kasper. That took me back. Not fondly, because I did like Manchester United, but to see him back, make a big save early, that would have given him a lot of confidence, I imagine. And he didn't have a lot to do, but you can see he's back in the game. He's directing traffic, and I think that provided that sort of confidence for the rest of the team back there too, with a couple of changes that were made to the back four. So, good to have him back.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers says they'll keep an eye on Kasper, see how his shoulder's holding up after his return. He has said, though, that there will be changes made for the game on Wednesday night against Aberdeen. The team apparently already know the starting lineup for that match. What we do already know is that Vil Sinizalo will come back in for that match, which I guess makes a bit of sense. Alistair Johnson, I think, will return as well. Certainly he's back available for that game. I think so. Sinizalo in goal, Johnson in at right back, only the other 9 positions to fill now. But I think we'll see probably a few changes for that one.
Yeah, he certainly hinted at that. So Johnson and Sinizalo in. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe Yang get a start, perhaps. Unless he starts with Forrest and Young comes on in a rotation somewhere later. I'd expect Eder to start, though. Maybe he'll get a half or something. But
you put Kenny in at all?
I think it depends on the stage of the game. If we're a couple of goals up at the half, you could see Kenny coming back on. But I don't know. One player I really love to see more of is Paulo Bernardo, though. I think his direct football will cause Aberdeen some headaches midweek, but I want him to start. I want him to be able to get the tempo of the game and then, jump in and dictate. But do you want to mess with those 3? I think you got to give him a little bit of a rest. Bring, Engels and Hatate and McGregor on. Well, maybe not McGregor, but, the other 2, bring them off after 60 minutes or something. I really want to see Bernardo play, though. Because I think he's going to be crucial in like that cup final is going to be it's all or nothing for Aberdeen in that. And chances can bob up and the scenarios change. So I need Bernardo to be getting some somewhat regular football between now and then, because I think he's going to be really important in that final, just as he was last year when he came on.
Yeah. I think I'd want to see a lot of changes on Wednesday night. I mean, if you can't do it in a midweek away game when the league's already wrapped up, then you quite literally don't have any other, better opportunity to make wholesale changes. I mean, I know every Celtic game matters to an extent, but I think, and I might be I guess, kind of misreading the room here, but I sense that people would be pretty happy to see quite a few changes made, get a few young players in, and if the result goes against us, then you hold your hands up and it doesn't massively matter. Obviously, we've got a far bigger game coming up against Aberdeen at the end of the month, and I think we will see a lot of changes. I think Bernardo will come in. It's a shame for someone like Dane Murray because he would probably have started the game. Brendan Rodgers talked him up actually after the match, saying he really likes him, that it's just a shame that he's going to miss the rest of the season with a knee injury, and but he'll get pre-season and then we'll see what the situation is with him. I think Schlupp probably comes in at left back. I wouldn't have Callum McGregor playing at all on Wednesday. I just wouldn't. I would go McCown would be in my midfield, Bernardo and potentially Engels, or potentially if there's a young player in there as well, someone like Jude Bonner maybe could come in. And yeah, I'd be starting Kenny up front. I'd have Yang on the right and probably James Forrest on the left and hope that he can get his goal. So yeah, I hope we see lots of changes on Wednesday night. I want to get a look at some different players. And I don't think there's anything really riding on the match too much. I guess it's a wee bit different when you get back to Celtic Park next weekend against St Mirren, and it's trophy day and you want to get a good performance in and keep the atmosphere going. And obviously the cup final will clearly be an important game for us, a vital game for us. So yeah, Wednesday's the one for me to make changes, and I think we'll see that. Did you think James Forrest was going to get his goal late on there?
I did. Smith's a party pooper. I thought that was going into that bottom left corner, and he just gets his mid out to push it wide. It's a good save. But I think the more we try, the less likely it will be happen. So you just got to let it work organically.
Are you getting what?
He'll get his goal. I am. I want him to get this. He deserves it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because, he's probably not going to start the cup final. I don't know, maybe we're a few goals up in the cup final and he comes on and scores the final kick of the game and the stadium goes mad. I think we'd all settle for that. But yeah, you're kind of feeling like next couple of games might be when it has to happen for him if he gets this goal. I wonder if it matters to James Forrest as much as it matters to all of us. You know what I mean? He kind of knowing what he's like. I think he might be not as fussed as everyone else is. Oh, James, you need your goal. He might just be kind of thinking, if I get my goal, great. If I don't, but I could be wrong. Maybe this record of scoring in every season is really important to him. I still think he'll get it. I think he's going to get it. I think we're going to get a penalty on either of the next two games, and I think James potentially takes it, but we'll see. We might have to be a few goals up for that to happen. But yeah, all in all, pretty good stuff. You're feeling good about Celtic. It was sunny at Celtic Park, which you won't know about this, of course, but in Scotland we don't tend to always get sun, so it looked good. I saw people were wearing they were jacketless, and you could tell that it must be about 20 degrees or something like that. It's funny here in Australia when it's the same temperature, and it probably is roughly that today. People will be going about with jackets on and scarves and all that, but in Scotland we are taps off, we call it. But it looked good and the atmosphere seemed good. Good crowd as well, actually.
Yeah, I did see one fellow, which I wish I hadn't seen, and it's like, put it back on, mate. Like, I was going to ask you, like, what is a hot day? Like, I remember Ange mentioning it was like 14 degrees, but the sun was out and the tops were off. I was like, I couldn't, well, I wouldn't do that, but like I can't imagine any scenario at any sport ever where I'm like, yeah, I might take my shirt off. Like, you guys are mental.
Yeah, it's I answer to your question. I think anything above about 15 degrees is considered taps off weather in Scotland. And to be honest, it isn't until you move away to a country with a sunnier climate that you actually realise how crazy it is. That the minute we get any sort of sun, it's just like, wow. Feels, put it this way, a 16 degree day in Scotland feels hot. 16 degree day in Melbourne or anywhere else in Australia feels pretty cold. But no, all good. One other point I did want to make, great to see the club supporting the accessible week of action prior to the game. A number of kids with a range of disabilities accompanying both Celtic and Hibs players onto the pitch. I think the aim here is to make it clear that Celtic Park is a place for everyone. And we also had a dog on the pitch too, which was led on to the field by Dyson, which is kind of fitting, given that everyone loves Dyson and everyone loves dogs. Okay, Scott, final comments and then we can head off.
Final comments. You need to give me warning with this stuff.
I know. People always struggle with that question. I don't know. Define the whole video and then about final comments and folk.
I've been thinking all morning, what is my answer going to be? I think we've got a couple more goals to get out of Hatate before the season is out too. He's on 19 or was on 19. He's either 19 or 20 goals as of today's effort.
19, yeah. Oh no, 20. Might be 20.
Might be 20. But I think the topic is around his conversion rate. So he sits at about 30 and Kuna Maeda sitting above 40. So, I mean, that's probably where the knock really comes from. But you got to also remember he was sitting behind Kyogo for up until late January. So I think 20 goals is a good return. And I still think there's a player there. And he was talking about this in his post-match as well. So about the other work that he does, the lines that he runs, they are different to Maeda or Kyogo. But I mean, today was evident, and so was last week, I think, to a lesser extent, is the sort of effort he puts in off the ball, which we probably don't give him enough credit for as well.
Can't argue when you look at like the games he's playing and the goals he's scoring. Was it 4 goals across the past 3 games? Probably more than that, actually, because he scored at Hampden, didn't he, against St Johnstone? So he's got a really good kind of goal scoring record at the moment. Yet you just feel his overall game can just be a little bit better, and he's missing a lot of chances as well. So hope. I mean, if there is more to come from Hatate, and if we're only seeing a fraction of Hatate at the moment, then we're going to have a hell of a player to look forward to. But no, everything good, everyone. Really enjoyed that game. Wasn't actually expecting a great Celtic performance, as I say, and we got a great Celtic performance, I think. So I think the team are really, really motivated at the moment. They've got the cup final in their sights, and May's going to be a great month, I feel. God, we're nearly halfway through May already. Time flies, but we'll head off for now. Let me know what you made of the game, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks to Scott once again. We'll catch up with Scott pretty soon.